And so how do you deal with that? Well, I had that issue. Like I personally had um, that problem with Thomas. Like I wanted him to be a better spiritual leader. I wanted him to, um, to like lead devotions every night. I wanted him to pray about things at random and start prayer with me. I wanted him to want to go through like devotional books with me and all that kind of thing. So that's what I was wanting. What I had was a good man who went to church faithfully, was in the Word of God, pastoring a church. He was a great man, but I was looking for perfection. And I find that with a lot of women, like they're wanting the same thing. They want the husbands to initiate all of the spiritual stuff. And the truth is, like all of our men, they have to grow at their own pace. They have to do the things that the Lord is calling them to do, the things that He is laying on their heart. And what I try to remind women is one of our jobs is to help him in whatever it might be. And in my case, my husband needs help with all of the lists, the calendars, the getting things done. That's where I come into play in Thomas's life in many ways. And what I couldn't see until I got older and learned the lesson is this was another aspect where I needed to help him. And so it was simple reminders, gentle, loving, not nagging. But it would be simple, like when we first had Catherine, she's our oldest, she's 20 now. But when she was born, I so desperately wanted our family to be the family that had devotions before we put our kids to bed. And so she was probably like 8 months old. I know she was still young because we didn't have our second daughter, who's only 14 months after her. She was really little. But I wanted to start this, and I would mention it to Thomas, and I would mention it to him, and he was always like for it, but would never do it. And so finally, the Lord just showed me to just do it myself. And so I would pick up our little baby, and I would say, "Hey, honey, we're gonna go out to the couch, and we are going to have devotions. If you want to come, I'd love to have you come." And he didn't move and he didn't respond. And I thought, wish I had a better spiritual leader, but oh well, this is what I got. And I went out to the couch and I sat Catherine down and I got like the little children's Bible and I started to read to her. And it was like just 2 seconds later, out he comes from the bedroom and he sat down next to us and he listened while I read. And then at the end of it, he was like, "I'll pray." And I was like, "Okay." And so he prayed. And from then on, it always had to be me to be the one to say, "It's time for bed. We're going to go do devotions." And then he would join us. But if you think about the way that our family operated about everything, he was never the person to say, "Did Catherine brush her teeth?" He never made sure she had her baths. He never looked at the clock to see what time was bedtime. He never woke her up in the morning to make sure she was ready to go. Like that was all stuff that I did. I handle the calendar. I handle the schedule. So why would I think that this is the one area where he's going to handle that thing? Like it wasn't how our family operated. He just needed me to be the one to say, "It's time to do this." And then he'd jump on and he wanted to do it. And later on in later years, sometimes he would come to me and he would say, "I need your help. I cannot remember to have prayer with the girls. Help me remember." And then I'm like, "Okay, you got it," because I'm the one who remembers things and I put it on the calendar and I put it on my list, then it happens. So a lot of times it's not that your husband is not a great spiritual leader. It's just this is that area that he needs help to have the reminder. Or maybe he needs you to be the one to order the book so that he has something to go off of. Because it's a lot of pressure to come up with something every single day to give your family spiritually. So maybe the thing that you can do to help him is to get the little devotional book that's so simple to just read to the kids and then have a time of prayer. Or if you don't have children and it's just, it's about you and he, well, can you order a devotional book for couples that you can do together and, go through that together? So whatever you can do to make it simple for him to be that spiritual leader that he wants to be, but he just needs a little help. And that's what we're here for.